What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, it is obviously game day today. We do take on the Packers in just a little bit, and I will try to get this out before the game starts. But I just wanted to go over today the injury report for both teams and go over some last-minute Lions news as we did last week. Now, before we do get into talking about the injury report, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes only 2 seconds out of your day to help me push this content out to more Lions fans such as yourselves. So if you could do that, I would be greatly appreciative. It would help the channel out a lot. But with all that being said, let's get into talking about the injury report, who's playing, who's questionable, who's not playing, and some last minute Lions news. Now, the Detroit Lions have 5 players that are officially out for them in this game. The first player of which is being Hunter Bryant, who is out with a hamstring injury. Joe Dahl, who is out with a groin injury and was actually placed on IR. Kenny Galladay, who is out with a hamstring injury. Desmond Trufant, who is out with a hamstring injury. And Nick Williams, who is out with a shoulder injury. Now, obviously, there are some big names on this list, as Joe Dahl was our starting guard last week and played very well. Kenny Galladay is our #1 wide receiver, and he's a big part of this offense when he's healthy. Desmond Trufant, our #1 cornerback, it was going to probably be matched up against Vaitai Adams a lot today if he were healthy. So the Detroit Lions have a lot of really key injuries this week, kind of like last week where we were missing Galladay, we were missing Vaitai, we were missing Okudah. Like, we're missing more guys, and there are new guys that are coming back, there are new guys that are healthier and could still play, but those are the 4 that are fit, or those are the 5 that are officially out for today's game. And hopefully they can come back next week, but as of right now, it's not looking super likely for some of them. Now, the Detroit Lions also have 4 guys that are questionable, and the first of which is CJ Moore, the safety. He is questionable with a hamstring injury. He did not play last week, so the fact that he is questionable and not out this week, makes me think that he has a pretty good chance of playing. He was limited in practice for a majority of the week, but definitely has a chance to come out and play this week for the Lions. And he is a very good special teams player, and I know he's a special teams player, not a safety, but I still think he can add some value to this team on the special teams, being kind of that special teams ace, especially in the way that Braden Coombs, our special teams coordinator, was really hyping him up, really complimenting his game in the offseason. So I think if he plays, he could be a huge help for this Lions special teams. Darryl Roberts is questionable with a calf injury. I just think we need Darryl Roberts because of the depth. Obviously we have Okudah and Amani coming out. We have the new cornerback we signed, but behind that we don't really have a whole lot of depth. We have Tony McRae still. That's really it. We don't have a lot of cornerback depth without Justin Coleman and Desmond Trufant. So if Darryl Roberts pretty much needs to play today because we needed the depth at the cornerback position. And even though he wasn't super good on Sunday, even though he wasn't super good last week against the Chicago Bears, he is still depth. He is still NFL talent, and he is still better than some of the other guys on the roster. And I would still prefer him out there in the slot versus some of the other players that might have to step up if Roberts is not healthy. The Detroit Lions have Halapaloti Vaitai in the questionable category this week. Last week he did not play because of a foot injury, and this was kind of a weird one because Vaitai hasn't played at all this week. He hasn't practiced at all with the Detroit Lions. Obviously he's been studying tape and film and stuff like that, but he's not been physically practicing with the team. However, they did take him from out to questionable. So even though he hasn't played, the fact that they did that, they didn't just leave him in the out. He's not even doubtful this week. He is questionable. He's all the way down there. That makes me think that they're really trying to push him into the game. That makes me think that maybe he is healed up, maybe he is ready to go. And the fact that he didn't practice this week was very just precautionary. They felt that they just wanted time for him to heal. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't necessarily need to practice the week as outside of watching film and studying stuff with his teammates. He doesn't need to physically practice this week. Maybe something like that. And the fact that he is questionable without playing any snaps this week, without practicing a whole lot this week, makes me think that he is going to play. He's really pushing to get into Sunday's game, really pushing to get into the game later today. And obviously if Big V is there instead of Tyrell Crosby, that is going to be a huge grab. That is going to be a huge addition for this Lions offense that's already coming off a fantastic running game. So adding another huge run blocking tackle outside of that is just going to help the Lions that much more. That is the last player on the Detroit Lions questionable. They don't have anybody that's doubtful, and there were 2 players that were on the injury report early in the week, Okudah and Jason Kumbinda, who are 100% 100% playing, and they are fully practicing, and they are fully healthy. So, as far as the Lions injury report, we're obviously missing some big names like Galladay, Trufant, and Joe Dahl. Those are going to be huge impacts, but I think we still have guys that can step up. I think, Okudah can step up in the absence of Trufant. I think Marvin Jones and some of the other wide receivers can step up in the absence of Galladay. And I think, Logan Stenberg could step up in absence of Joe Dahl or Kenny Wiggins, or, maybe even move Tyrell Crosby in there if, Halapoloti Vaitai is healthy. So, the Lions have options to replace these injured guys, but obviously if your starters are injured, if your number one cornerback, number one wide receiver, and number one right guard are all injured, that's not a very good thing for your football team, but I think the Lions have enough depth at those positions to make it work. Now moving on to the Green Bay Packers injury report. The Green Bay Packers have 4 guys that are listed as out for the game. The first of which is Kenny Clark, who is out with a groin injury. That is their biggest one. He is their best defensive lineman and, one of their better run stoppers. So without him, with the Packers having a difficult time stopping the run last week, I think, that's going to be a huge loss for the Packers because they weren't super good last week on defense. So losing one of their best defensive players, especially one that, is the best on their defensive line, that is going to be a huge loss for the Packers and something the Lions can take advantage of. The Green Bay Packers are also going to be without Equanimeous St. Brown this week because he is out with a knee injury. Randy Ramsey is out with a groin injury. Lane Taylor is out with a knee injury. So those are the 4 guys that are out for the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, not as many big names as the Detroit Lions. Kenny Clark is a big one. Outside of that, nothing crazy. Maybe Equanimeous St. Brown could get a couple catches, but outside Kenny Clark, nothing really crazy on the Packers injury report. They have a couple more guys that are questionable, as Montravius Adams is questionable with a toe injury. Josh DeGuara is questionable with an ankle injury. Raven Green is questionable with a quad injury. Lucas Patrick is questionable with a shoulder injury, and Billy Turner is questionable with a knee injury. So, as I said, the Packers don't really have as many big names on their injury report. They're only missing Kenny Clark, who, is a huge loss and I think will be the most impactful loss out of both teams this week. But, they're not losing their number one wide receiver. They're not losing their number one cornerback. They're not losing their number one guard. They're not, they don't have as many significant injuries as the Detroit Lions. And, granted, I'm not as in-depth. I don't know the Packers roster as well in-depth as I do the Detroit Lions. So maybe those guys were supposed to be key players. Maybe those guys were supposed to be role players and rotate in. I'm not quite sure. I'm not super knowledgeable about the depth of the Packers, but most of these guys I've never heard of. So the fact that they're injured doesn't mean a lot to me. The only one that really sticks out to me, as I said, was Kenny Clark. He was their best defensive lineman. He is their best interior defensive lineman, defensive tackle, whatever you want to call him, whatever his position is. And losing him is going to hurt the Green Bay Packers a lot. And I think the Detroit Lions need to attack that early and see how the Green Bay Packers respond, how the Green Bay Packers combat the fact that they lost one of their best defensive players on a defense that already gave up a lot of rushing yards and a lot of really big plays on the ground before the defense even made contact. Now moving on to some last minute Lions news. Joe Dahl, as I said earlier, was placed on injured reserve, so he will be able to return after the bye week for the Detroit Lions. And with him being placed on injured reserve, the Detroit Lions have signed Kenny Wiggins to the active roster, so he will most likely stay here until Joe Dahl gets back. Hopefully Joe Dahl recovers quickly, and hopefully he actually can come back after that week 5 bye. Hopefully he's healthy after that. So, Kenny Wiggins is going to be our new guard. I don't know if he's going to start today, or whether they're going to put Logan Stenberg in, whether they're going to rotate some guys around. Maybe they move Crosby in there because Halapoloti Vaitai is healthy. They can do a lot of things, but, the fact that Kenny Wiggins was signed instead of Joe Dahl is Lions news, and I wanted to mention it because we are going to have a different right guard today starting than who we had in week 1. Now, the only other Lions news that I could find was the Detroit Lions pulled up 2 players from the practice squad today in Kevin Strong and D. Virgin. Now, obviously, Kevin Strong was a guy that I thought was going to make the active roster. He was kind of my bubble guy that, I thought was going to be protected on the practice squad. That was a guy that, was an undrafted free agent last year, came in, played very well for the Detroit Lions, was really a gem for the Detroit Lions in UDFA, and, was really impressive. I really like Kevin Strong. I think he adds quite a bit to this defensive tackle position, actually, and, I think bringing him up is a good move, especially with the fact that, Nick Williams is not playing. I think bringing Kevin Strong up again, with, obviously Nick Williams not playing, but also with a defensive line that struggled at times last week, I think bringing in more pass rush help, bringing in more D-line help is never going to be a bad thing for this team. And Kevin Strong is probably one of the best players on our practice squad to bring up in general. Now, D. Virgin is obviously a cornerback that was on the team last year, was kind of more of a special teams guy, not really a cornerback per se, not really a guy that's known for his coverage ability ability, but we are bringing him up because of the the lack in cornerback depth, as well as bringing in another special teams ace to help us excel on special teams, because special teams can change the game, especially if you get a big forced fumble, if you get a kick return touchdown, special teams can really be the turning point in a football game, and the Detroit Lions have built up a good special teams, and they're adding another special teams ace in D Virgin today to, hopefully help with that, as well as be kind of a safety net in case we need another cornerback to step in. Now, with all that being said, that is all the Lions I got for you guys today. As I said, I just wanted to quickly go over the injury report, quickly go over, the last minute Lions news. Today is going to be a little bit of a shorter video, but hey, it's game day, baby, and you do not need me because y'all got the Lions to go watch in a little bit. Now, with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. If there is no Lions news before tomorrow, I will obviously, if there is Lions news before tomorrow, I will obviously make a video letting everybody know. But if there is no Lions news, then I will see you all tomorrow with more Detroit Lions content. But until then, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. That is all. I will see you all tomorrow with more Detroit Lions content. And as always, go Lions, baby. Let's get it. Let's get this done week 2.